your true self means, sounds like, and looks like. I'm your host, Carlin E. Tapia, coach, speaker, educator, and certified practitioner. I'll put more info of my work and what I do in the show notes. Feel free to contact us. My team would love to schedule a guest on my podcast. I have exciting plans for this, and I am ready to serve you. This podcast is designed to help you break free from fear or toxic stress and grow into the most confident, empowered version of yourself. If you're feeling stuck, uncertain, or overwhelmed, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. You asked me just some more background. My name's Adalina Alejandrina Capuli Chascanyawi Merelo Salas. I am from Eugene, Oregon. My parents are from Peru and Bolivia, and my grandmother is from Chile. So I am South American. I'm ethnically Peruvian. Out of all of those, the only one I'm ethnically is Peruvian. I'm indigenous to Peru, Quechua Inca. My father's an expat in Brazil, and my mom still lives in one of the houses we grew up in Eugene, Oregon. They separated when she was pregnant with me. So actually, I only met my father when I was 40, which was 2 years ago.
Oh, how was that?
Well, I looked at kind of one of the subtitles of your podcast, and my dad wasn't a good guy, so I had no intentions of ever really getting to know him. But on my 40th birthday, he blew up my Facebook Messenger, and I don't know, I didn't care. So I said, why not just take this leap of faith and get to know the man? So
Do you have any regrets?
What'd you say?
Do you regret doing that?
Not at all. I love him. We have such a good time together. I didn't know what to expect when I entered into getting to know him. So yeah, I mean, he's a careless 72-year-old man who had 7 children and never cared for them. So he's living a dream life there in Brazil, making jewelry and having 13 animals. So, I'm 42, recently married, no children. I have my service dog, Angel, which I'm sure you've seen by this point. And I'm having a great time getting to know him. I had opened up the windows and doors to get to know his sisters and brothers and my cousins a few years ago. Maybe it's been like 10 years now that I've gotten to know them. But I always said, do not put me in touch with my father. I want to get to know my family, but that doesn't mean I want to get to know my dad. Mm-hmm. And they all respected that. But I love my dad. My mom's another story. She's fantastic. It was a complicated environment growing up, but she pulled it off. My oldest sister died when I was 3, so she raised 3 of us as a single mother back in Eugene, Oregon. So that's kind of like my basis.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm so sorry that you lost a sister.
Thank you.
Yeah. What led you to like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like to really accept that, you have a father out there and that you want to get to know him? Because you said at first you didn't, and now you do. So what changed for you? How did you take those brave steps forward?
Well, I'm not sure how old you are, and I'm not sure how old your demographic is. I'm sure it's probably all over the place, but I was 40. I'm in my 40s now. I just didn't care. Like, I never really harbored resentment towards him. My aunts and uncles always, whenever I was little and I would be kind of like, oh, I wish I had a dad. They're like, you don't want that guy to be your dad. So I was always raised to believe, and no one ever really said much more than that. They said he wasn't a good guy. I heard a couple horror stories of why he wasn't a good guy, and I'll just let people use their imagination because that's my mom's story. That's not my story.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've always been nonchalant as a human, but in your 40s, you don't have much to lose. What was I going to lose? Like my worst situation, I waited till my grandma died because it mattered to my grandma that she while my dad was busy in Latin America, literally reprocreating and making other children, my mom was up in United States raising these 3 to 4 daughters by herself. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother stepped up and would financially help where maybe a dad would have done, you know. Mm-hmm. Like I had gymnastics and piano lessons as a kid, and I went to private school, and all of that wouldn't have happened without the financial contributions of my grandmother. And then emotionally too, you know, she stepped up. She would be like there for me as an adult, as a young adult. I would call my grandma, and she passed away, unfortunately, about 8 years ago, but she was a much better listener and just confidant than my mother has ever been, and probably my mother ever will be. I love my mother. I'm not trying to cast shade on her, but I'm just saying, like, my grandmother was one of my best friends, and my mother is my mother. She's not one of my best friends. And so I definitely, and it wasn't like, oh, Bella's dead. That was what we called her, because when my sister came to the United States and we were supposed to call my grandma Abuela, what came out of her mouth was Bella. So we called her Bella, as many little babies and kids can't get the full name out.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that was definitely one conscious effort. My grandmother had to pass before I would do it.
Okay.
But outside of that, there wasn't really much more. I was worried about my mom's reaction, but I let her know gently. I was just kind of like, Mom, just so you know, I'm talking to my dad now. And she said, okay. And I was like, you're not a part of it. I don't tell him about you. I'm not going to make you talk to him or anything. So it was mostly out of respect for my grandma.
Okay. Got it. Well, that gives me an idea of a little bit of what you went through. And it says a lot, like, for you to, even as you're getting older, you're still doing some work within the family. Like it never stops.
It never stops. I mean, and I'm a strong advocate for therapy. I've been on and off of therapy. My mom threw us all in therapy when my sister died. It only stuck really with one of my sisters. I did kids therapy where you like play with blocks and stuff. But when I was 16 is when I first entered therapy for myself. And I've been on and off the past, 28 years, 26 years. I'm a strong advocate of it. And as a Latina, that's a taboo, you know? That's another topic for maybe another time. But as a Latina, it's kind of like I believe you're Latina.
Yes.
In our community, mental health isn't something we talk about.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. I feel like maybe the younger generation does now. But now sometimes it feels like we need to educate our parents, and then it gets all so overwhelming, because then we have like the cultural barrier, and then we have the language barrier, and then we have this mental health area that comes up as a barrier. So it's definitely like an art to be able to meet people where they're at, especially when you're an adult. Like, you're not a kid anymore. Parents are not like, really involved in your life anymore. So there's this question of like, how are you going to relate to your parent now as an adult? So dynamics change and a lot of things change. So I definitely get it. Tell me, what do you do? What do you offer the world? How do you contribute to society?
I contribute to society in a lot of ways. I think it's on my TikTok. I say I'm a sister, a wife, a daughter, an aunt. Those are my main contributions, but I'm a civil servant. I'm a third generation civil servant. My mom's dad, who is from Honeyville, Utah, was a foreign diplomat. So he worked for U.S. presidents and retired from that. And then my mom was a civil servant by being a professor at the University of Oregon in Spanish language and arts. So she worked for the state. It kind of digresses as the generations went down. I prefer city government and state government. And I'm in the political arena. I've worked in politics for 25 years professionally. Well, I guess it's 23 years professionally. But as maybe, I don't know if many of your viewers know this, but working in politics does not pay. Don't believe the hype. We don't make money. So I supplement it with different jobs. I'm also a waitress. I've done baristaing on and off for 25 years. I just really entered hospitality about 8 years ago when I got laid off from working with Kasim Reed, one of our mayors here in Atlanta. And he was the second mayor I worked for. I worked for Mayor Bloomberg in his second administration up in New York City. And I think I saw you're from Osnig. Yes.
Oh, yes. I did some work there. It was a contract with them. Yeah.
So I spent some time in Westchester. I used to date someone from Pleasantville. Okay. So I went to CUNY, City University of New York. I went to a Borough of Manhattan Community College, and then I went to Hunter College. So I'm a very proud graduate of a community college. And then 2 months ago, I recently obtained my master's in public administration from Cornell University.
Okay, so, right.
Yeah, so I just want your viewers to know that community college is awesome. I ended up Ivy League. This is going to be funny, but when I'm going to cry, it makes me emotional. When Sandra Bullock won her Oscar, she's like, did I just wear you guys down? Like, do people just eventually accept you? I don't know. I wasn't shooting, and I once heard her in an interview. I think it was Charlie Rose, who is now disgraced, but at the time he was reputable. She's like, I always thought that Oscars were something that people strive for. So I'm comparing this to an Ivy League education. I thought people were out there like, oh, I'm going to get into an Ivy. I'm going to do this. And you know what? I grew up with those people. My best friends from growing up, from high school, middle school, they went to Ivies. And that was them. But that was not my path to the Ivy. But Sandra Bullock made a point that people might set it as a goal, but other people just kind of find their way there. At 39, I saw an ad for a hybrid online in-person degree of Master's of Public Administration from Cornell University. I saw that you did not have to take the GRE. Newsflash, can't pass a standardized test to save my life. And if I want your viewers to know if that's a hurdle, look into Cornell. They don't accept it. I think they still do LSAT for law school, but all their other programs, they terminated the standard of standardized tests. And I once asked my advisor about it, and I said, why'd you do that? And he said, well, we realized how classist, racist, and sexist it is. And I was like, well, how's your applicant pool been? He said, it got better. So we still have diversity to work on at Cornell, but that's how I ended up at Cornell. But you asked me again, can you ask the question?
Yeah. Let's see. What did I ask? I asked.
You asked something about what do I offer the world?
Yeah. So, okay. So you're working at a senator's office right now, or what exactly are you doing with that?
Gotcha. Okay. So this weekend I revitalized an LLC that I incorporated 8 years ago called Morelloism. It's my maiden name with ism on it. I just thought it was catchy. It's funny. I have a good sense of humor.
Yeah. Have fun with it.
Yeah, thank you. So I made a company called Morelloism. And if you go to www.morelloism.com, you'll see my new baby. My new baby is my new public administration consulting firm. So I actually, and I read your notes on how to be a good public or podcaster, but I wanted to get this right. So I did take notes on what my mission statement is, because this is all new to me. So on my FAQ part of my website, go to morelloism.com, and my public administration consulting firm partners with clients in government, nonprofit, corporate, and academic sectors to help them unlock their full potential and effectively engage with their target audiences. We provide a comprehensive approach that includes research, analysis, community engagement, political strategy, stakeholder collaboration, and constituent services. So that's kind of the gist of what I'm offering to the world right now. And what does Morelloism do? Our mission is to create positive and lasting change by empowering organizations to better serve their communities.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's really important to have those specialties because I know I used to work for the government as well, in the state Senate of New York. And so we really need people who specialize in certain areas. Like we can't just expect a senator or someone like a leader to know everything. So I know that people will reach out to you and that you will do awesome work and change, because that's essentially what we want. We want to implement long-lasting, sustainable change in government. So,
well, thank you for that. And I do remember seeing that. I got my start in the state Senate. I worked for a state senator as a public service scholar when I was at Hunter College working on housing policy. So I did see that in what I looked up on you, and I thought that was a really cool coincidence.
yes, yep. Political science is my undergrad, and then my master's, I'm getting my master's in social work, a generalist social work.
Nice.
So I get to work with policies and also work with people like on a clinical level. So it's the best of both worlds.
That is, we need, I mean, when I worked for Liz, that's the state, Liz Kruger, she always has a social work intern. And our social work interns did so much of the community engagement work in our office. And there just aren't enough social workers in politics. So I commend you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. I just have this like awareness now too, that like everywhere we go, we need a social worker. Like I know nowadays, like it's a growing field. So I remember hearing a professor say that there's a social worker in a veterinarian, because there's a lot of things that go on with a pet, and the veterinarian suffers double because they are treating animals. They're very, attached to animals and to humans. So they need a lot of support, and the animal and the human that's taking care of the animal. So,
well, speaking of animals, I haven't introduced him yet. This is Angel Amor Salas Morello. He's my service dog.
Oh, is he wearing like a coat?
Mr. Salas Morello is wearing a two-piece suit today.
Oh, is it because he's alive right now?
It's not just because he's live today. We had a pretty heavy-hitting kind of day. We were at the Mexican consulate for our work with Latino Community Fund this morning, and so I contemplated what he was going to wear. He had a traditional Mexican jacket. He had a tuxedo. But when I looked at my outfit this morning, his two-piece suit is what matched better with my outfit.
That's awesome.
But yes, being live on the podcast definitely was part of the motivation for him wearing his two-piece suit today.
Okay. Amazing. That makes me feel really good. If you don't mind me asking, as a therapy student, I have no shame about talking about mental health, but
sure.
Do you want to share what do you struggle with?
Absolutely. I actually ran for office this past year, and I used mental health as my platform. In the past year and a half, I've been around the world with Angel Amor, and he's my service dog. I think it's called International Psychiatric Service Dogs, if you Google it. It's an online service where you can train your own dog. And I got Angel from the pound, and they named him Angel. I did not name a dog Angel. That was a little presumptuous of them, but he's living up to his name. So I suffer from bipolar manic depressive disorder, and I have post-traumatic stress disorder from when I was drugged and gang raped at work when I was 25.
Wow.
So yeah, but my bipolar disorder, they're separate. But Angel is trained to predict my panic attacks. He has yet to fulfill his obligation, but I guess that's a good thing because I haven't had a panic attack in the past year and a half. Wow. But I'm very open about my journey because as a politician, you can't keep anything from anyone. And I was walking around the city with my dog and the world. We went to Costa Rica last year for a delegation for Cornell. And it's no one's business. But at the same time, all I have to say in a legal manner is he predicts panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. People can't ask me anything beside that.
Okay.
But I see a therapist once a week. I actually had to cancel my appointment with him today, but I rescheduled for Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a psychologist. Is it psychologist or psychiatrist who gives you drugs?
Psychiatrist.
Okay, I see my psychiatrist every 2 months. About the last year, I've had to check in with him every 2 months or every month because I needed some medication alterations,
Okay.
alternatives. It just, as you are a healthcare professional, you know that people change. You got to change your medication. Um, when I chose to run for office, and I was in the middle of finishing graduate school, my psychiatrist said, "I think you're having a manic episode."
My gosh.
He didn't know I'd been in politics 25 years. So bless his heart, as we say down here in the South. But I knew I did it for the right reasons. I did it for the constituents. I didn't win, but I tried. But I definitely am open about my journey, and I appreciate you for asking because, again, as a Latina, we don't talk about these things. I'm a survivor of rape, but you know what? I say it loud because I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. It gives so much courage and permission for others to also own their story, and it's so prevalent. Like, we act like this is not a thing. Like, it's everywhere. It's like, I don't remember the statistics right now, but it's like 1 out of 10, 1 out of 4 that people suffer from being abused.
I think it's 1 out of 3 women experience sexual assault on some level, and then 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 10 men.
Okay. Yeah. So it's something that's why I use my podcast. I'm like, I am such a creative person in asking questions and very delicate and sensitive. So I really want to talk more and more and more about topics that people really they're just hesitant about talking about. So I appreciate you sharing your story. You know that you never have to. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, and you said you're a wife. Do you have children?
No, I have a stepson in Peru. My husband has a son who's 7 years old in Peru.
Okay.
I got married on Valentine's Day. Word to the world: if you want to get married, get it married on a holiday, so you don't have to worry about memorizing your anniversary.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. How long have you been married for?
Today's the 29th. We've been married 8 months and 7 days and 15 days.
Okay. So it's last February. Okay.
We're newlyweds. It's actually a fun story. We were engaged and I entered a contest and we won a free wedding and we eloped. And the mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens, was our officiant. So the mayor married us.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's a beautiful life. I love it. You're just like whatever, like you just go after things. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a fun life.
It's hard. I mean, one thing I wanted to touch on with my mental health, I'm low income. I get subsidized mental health from the county. So I want people to know that you just got to Google stuff, Google it. And honestly, I think I found it because I called the crisis hotline one night and I was not having a good day. And they directed me to the rape crisis hotline, maybe. Anyway, at the end of the day, I got connected to Fulton County Health. And also after the attack, I ended up in Los Angeles and I went to the UCLA Rape Crisis Center. Mm-hmm. I got the best help in the country for free. It's a free network and you just have to be in LA. And it was for young women who had been raped by acquaintances or people they knew.
Okay. Wow. That's a good resource.
It's a great resource and it's a closed group. And I met like 3 of my best friends to this day there. We actually haven't had the best communication in recent years, but for years we were always talking.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. UCLA.
UCLA, University of Southern Cal, University of Los Angeles.
Okay.
University of California at Los Angeles.
Okay. Oh, yeah. If I could just get people to know that the more self-awareness, the more you know yourself, the more things get more clear, you can get help, you can, just tailor your life to what you need. And so I see so many people like be depressed and not have the tools they need, the life they need, because they think that there's a certain way of living and they strive for that. And it's like, no, everybody gets to live differently because we're all different with different needs, different mental struggles. Like everybody has some sort of mental challenge. So
we all have challenges. And years ago, I think it was after the attack, my best friend Melissa was saying her dad, Tom, the Barkin saying is nothing in life is linear.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I'm not sure if they coined it, but I like it and I still use it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Even the healing process is not linear.
No, that's another story. Just healing and recovery. Go easy on yourself, people. Just go easy on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was so nice to chat. If you're offering services as a consultant.
That's correct.
How to manage a organization?
It's on different levels. Like my clients have been nonprofits wanting to get grants for gun violence awareness programs. Okay. I am in conversations with a couple other people right now. And again, I just resurrected this LLC over the weekend, so work with me. I'm pretty proud of my website. It does go into depth about what we offer, and it gives you a more extensive background of my experience and why I am qualified to offer these services. Mm-hmm. And don't quit your day job, people. I'm still a waitress and I still work for Latino Community Fund as a civic engagement person. Right now, we started this conversation talking about how the election is 7 days away. I literally knock on doors and ask people to vote.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for just telling people to vote. It's a big election, so it's going to determine things. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Thank you again so much for coming on and giving your story, telling us how you took brave steps to be where you're at today. You're a strong survivor. I admire you, and thank you for just giving that hope that people need to hear, to express their mental health challenges, and to go after their dreams. So thank you again, Adalina. Right?
Sure. Ada. I like Ada Madrina.
Ada. Okay.
And how do you pronounce your name?
Carlin.
Carlin. Okay. Final note for people who are just going by life, living life. There are no expiration dates on anything. I got married when I was 41. You know, we all are on our own journey, and don't compare yourself to anyone.
Yes, that's huge. Comparing can kill your soul.
Absolutely.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, of course. And that's it. That's a wrap, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today and for giving me the privilege to speak over your life and for you receiving the gift of growth. Remember, every step you take forward, no matter how small or big, you are truly moving forward to who you're truly meant to be. Embrace the journey because the process of becoming is just as powerful as the destination. And in today's episode, if something sparked in you, a question, anything, a goal, an idea, hold on to that. Let it be the nudge you need to take brave steps forward toward the life that's calling you. You don't have to have it all figured out to start. You just need to take that next step. And I'll be here cheering you on every step of the way. Until next time, keep going. Hey, and do me a favor, share this episode with one friend or on social media. Let's bring more awareness to taking brave steps forward together.